Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. Let's continue our English poetry course at the Islamic University of Gaza. Last time we examined the poem under the category of war poetry. Today we have another one. Actually, we have two. Basically, when we speak about war, probably everybody in a way or another, everybody experiences war, sadly these days in their lifetime. As Palestinians, as people oppressed, colonized, under occupation, we come under constant attack, non-stop attack. We're actually being exposed to war all the time because we are occupied. War doesn't have to be all bombing and killing and death and destruction. So we basically speak about two types of poetry, two types of poets here. The first group, one that promotes war, supports war, endorses war, because they look at war as defending one's homeland, one's country, defending your basic rights, defending your loved ones, defending your democracy, like, your freedom, like America says all the time. And those people usually encourage people. They depict this kind of romanticized image about war, like we've seen with Rupert Brooke last time, the soldier. In a way, he was, at least probably from the perspective of parents, he was telling them that if your kids die, don't worry, they died heroes. They died fighting, defending you, the country, and they are now in a better place. They are in not a heaven, not an ordinary heaven, but an English heaven. A special heaven made for the colonizers, a better one in their opinion. And there is this poetry that refuses war categorically, thinks that war is destructive, war is pointless and futile, that we shouldn't be killing ourselves, that this is not what humans should be doing. God did not create us just for us to kill ourselves, to waste ourselves. Now, it's significant, again, to understand that war becomes personal sometimes, like in our situation. The interesting thing, I asked you to look at the Robert Brooks poem as Palestinians, because Palestinians, we've paid a heavy price for British colonialism and British wars, right? Right? So if you look at how the man is, glorifying the war, glorifying the soldier that is dying, what happens to the victims of this very soldier? Like, look at what America does to how Hollywood glorifies American soldiers all the time, almost all the time. And probably I usually like to mention The Sniper, that movie about, what's his name, who killed almost 200 Iraqis, mostly civilians, mostly innocent, all innocent, sorry. Because even if they're fighters, they were defending their land because they were being occupied, they were being attacked and bombed. But the movie presents this man as a hero. And not if he has made any mistake, he should be sympathized with, he should be forgiven, he should be pitied rather than anything else, hated. Okay, we'll have now a poem by somebody who lived the war, who was in the trenches, in the holes that people dig during the war. He was in the front, fighting. He saw people die, he saw people starve, he saw people torn to pieces. And we'll see how that is going to make a difference. But I'm not saying that you have to live war to hate it or to like it. It depends on your perspective. But before I do that, okay, the poem is by British poet Wilfred Owen. Before I do that, I like to read this poem written by one of my students, your colleague. His name is Ahmed Sheikh Khalil. He wrote this fascinating poem under the title War. Look at how simple it is, the simple language, but look at the deep, profound image, the impact it has. I was born in January, in the midst of cold, in the midst of war. I finally spoke for the first time at 2 years old, not because it was the time, but because it was war. I'm fasting for the first time in July, in the midst of summer, in the midst of war. That's the life of a Palestinian who survived 3 major wars against Palestinians. Being born in war, speaking all your good, great memories, can be marked by an Israeli offensive, a war waged at Palestinians. Birth, there is this talking, speaking, going to school, going whatever, growing your first tooth. And then fasting, growing up. It happens in the cold, happens in the summer. I love this poem. Okay, this is our poem for today. I'll read it and I want somebody to read it afterwards. Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once at home, whispering of fields unsown. Always it woke him, and even in France. Until this morning in this snow, if anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Woke once the clays of a cold star, our limbs, so dear achieved, our sides full-nerved, still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this the clay grew tall? Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth's sleep at all? Somebody, please.
Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once at home, whispering of fields unsown. Always it woke him, even in France, until this morning and this snow. If anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Woke once the clays of a cold star. Our limbs so dear achieved, our sides full nerved, still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this the clay grew tall? Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth's sleep at all?
Excellent recitation, thank you. One more.
Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once. At home, whispering of fields unsown. Always it woke him, even in France. Until this morning and this snow. If anything might rouse him now, this kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Woke once the clays of a cold star. Our limbs so dear achieved, our sides full nerved, still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this the clay grew tall? Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth's sleep at all?
One more, please.
Move him into the sun. Gently its touch awoke him once. At home, whispering of peace and sound. Always it woke him, even in France. Until this morning and this snow, if anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds. Woke once the clays of a cold star. Our limbs, so they achieved, our sides full nerved, still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this the clay grew tall? Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth's sleep at all?
Thank you, very good. So, again, let's do what we usually do. The first thing we do is look at the poem for its size, its shape, probably also its number of lines, right? Possibly. So this is a very short poem. If you counted, these are 14 lines, probably a sonnet, but unconventionally, this is divided into 2 stanzas. The sonnet consists of 2 parts, or 3 parts, or 4 parts, right? But usually, we don't have the physical break here in the middle. Okay, so it's probably something different. If you notice something else, it's going to be how the lines probably are not symmetrical, right?
Yeah.
The sonnet, it usually goes for 10 syllables, creating 5 feet, the whole poem. Sometimes an extra syllable here, missing syllable there for some particular poetic effect. But this doesn't seem to be doing the same thing. If you count the first line, how many syllables we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that it's cut short. Does this have to do with the form? Does it have to do with the meaning, the idea, the message? Let's wait and see. The poem opens with move, and move is, okay, I'll go for a second. Move, grammatically speaking, is a verb. What kind of verb? What mood? It's an imperative verb. It's an order, command. Move, an action verb, right? It should be followed with something. Who's he talking to? Can you guess? The sun itself?
No, maybe.
Move him into the sun.
Maybe a soldier who move some die soldier.
Okay. So, okay, before we go back to this, what is him here? Move him. Who's him? Okay, possibly a dead or an injured soldier. In wars, if you think of, this is a poem that was written during the Great War. It was known First World War. Millions of people died. And in wars, people usually, the soldiers, they dig trenches, holes so they can hide here, and they just put bags of sand or mud so they can protect themselves against the enemy attacks, the bullets, the mortars, the debris, the shrapnel. So if somebody is down here and it's rainy, right? We talk about Europe, rain would be muddy. So if we have this chance of somebody being injured, dying, somebody already dead, it would be really cool, nice to move him into the sun. So basically, if there are a group of soldiers here, and somebody says, move him to the sun. So if the speaker here is giving orders to people around him, there must be, again, other soldiers to move their comrade, their friend, somebody they just probably met, into the sun. Not sure how you're going to read this poem. Despite the fact that it's imperative, I feel that the sound in move has kindness. Even what you do, it's not just move away. It's just move him into the sun. And look, even the sounds of the ooh, him, and these sounds, the sweet, cool sounds here. Move him into the sun. Move him, and the sun itself, the existence of the sun here is significant. The sun gives warmth. Probably it gives life. Or could here probably brings or recalls good memories. So move him into the sun. That's a command. And if this doesn't feel like a gentle command, there is gently here. And look at the position of the word gently. Grammatically speaking, traditionally, we don't begin. It's not ambiguous, actually. There is fronting here. Originally, it should be somewhere else, right? When we talk about natural word order, it should be its touch gently awoke him once, or its touch awoke him gently once, or once its touch. But when you front something in poetry, it indicates something, right? You emphasize something. You're telling the reader that this is a significant thing to do. And then there's the touch here. Its touch. It refers to the body, the war. Thank you. The sun. Not its heat, not its beams. He's going to talk about the beams. It's touch. Again, even the word touch. Thank you very much. In what sense? Because not only the touch, also the awaking here.
Like a mother.
Thank you very much. Not an ordinary personification. The sun is a mother. Again, not, all mothers are kind, but not the mothers who wake you violently early in the morning to wake up to university, but the mothers who, gently touch you, gently, serenely, peacefully, I don't know how that happens, if that is even possible. Gently, its touch awoke him once. Look at the past simple tense. So is this about warmth? Is this about bringing good old days, the memories? But I love the personification of the sun here. A motherly touch. At home again. Not at his house, in his house. The word home doesn't indicate, because house basically indicates the physical structure. At home is the warmth again, the relationship, the emotions, the feelings, the father, the mother, the siblings. At home, whispering of fields unsown. The word whisper has this onomatopoeic effect in it, because you're whispering. Who's whispering here? Not people, because this should be, it's an attribute of people. The fields, another personification. The fields are whispering. And look at how beautiful the image is. We are here in a situation where somebody is asleep, back at home. He's being awakened gently by the touch of the sun. And nature, all natural elements are silent, or if they're making noise, they're just whispering, so they don't annoy, disturb, and wake him up. So even nature at home is loving, affection. I shouldn't be saying even, because this is the image he's creating here. Another fronting. Not sure if you learned in grammar, you shouldn't be starting with always. Actually, you can. But the natural position is always before main verb, after auxiliary, right? That's the grammar here. It always woke him. Look at how he's also using 4 words for awoke, woke, and rouse. No matter how it happens, it's peaceful, it's serene. Always, look at also the past simple tense, it woke him. But again, the soldier remains anonymous. This could be any soldier. And look at how sad this is. Soldiers always remain unnamed. Almost always remain unnamed. Always it woke him, even in France. And now there is some kind of a shift. So we have 4 lines here. And the gentleness of the opening lines is soon transferred into some kind of violent movement. So it woke him even in France until this morning, this snow. The word until, compared to these beautiful gentle words, is a little bit tough. Until. It's like it's like, again, the slap that brings you back to reality. It's like using but and yet. It's peaceful, it's nice, but he's good, he's nice, but she's smart, she's intelligent, but there's this pull that brings us back to reality from this image we draw about war in our minds, in our hearts. Until, look at this, until this morning and this snow. And the whole image changes because the word snow is the very opposite of sun. It's not sunny here. It's cold. And cold could be good if you are at home under 3 blankets, you have warm, you're drinking your favorite beverage, you're looking through the window to the rain. But if you're out there, hungry, starved, injured, bleeding, snow brings the opposite of, brings cold, and cold brings death. I find it also very interesting how, remember the oxen, Thomas Hardy? There were 2 stanzas, right? First stanza was about the past, how it was beautiful and peaceful. And then in the second stanza, we had the twist, the back to reality here. But here, uncharacteristically here, in the middle of the first stanza, unexpectedly, because this, I feel this is something, part of the theme of the poem.
It's war.
That's a very good point. Because in war, you don't expect anything. You go to fight, to be a hero, you just die like dogs. Until this morning And this, no, if anything might, look at the, of course, might. It's not going to happen. If anything might rouse him now, so basically he's dead. If anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Only the sun can rouse him. And the sun is not rousing him. He's dead. He's gone. And look at how we see even in the second stanza, he's not going to have, there's no mention of heaven and that. There's no solace. There's no condolences. There's no, don't worry, hey, parents, your son is, no, he died.
Nothing about heroism.
Yeah. He died, cold, probably crying, bleeding, torn into pieces. This is the grim reality of war. This is an anti-war poem as opposed to the pro-war poem we had last time by this. Another personification of the sun, but there's also more here. It had a gentle touch here, right? And now the kind old sun will know. He's not coming back. And then we move to the second stanza with yet another what? Yeah, another imperative, also another shift in tone. Think. I don't think think is a violent verb, but it's think only of this. Is he connecting this? I'm not sure how much of the intertextuality we have here. If I should die, think only this of me. Remember?
Yeah.
Who said this? Robert Brooke last time. If I should die, think only this of me. And think how it wakes the seeds. And again, it refers still to the sun and the seeds. You know, when you plant stuff, it's the sun that gives life to everything, to us, to plants, to animals, to creatures. There's some kind of a personification for the seeds, as if they are sleep people that can wake up thanks to the sun. Woke once the clays of a cold star. You know, clay, mud, clay. Not sure if this again connects people in the trenches during the war and how man was first created by God in biblical and religious Quranic terms from mud, from clay. So the sun in the past, and now it's doing this. It's giving life to us, but it's here unable to give life to this dead soldier. Can't come back. Alems, and if you notice here, we have 3 consecutive questions. The peacefulness of the opening lines, the serenity, it's just gone. There's anger here. There is frustration. He's questioning. Thank you. He's questioning the morality of war, questioning those people who go to war, those people who engage in war, who want young people in their prime to be taken away prematurely, untimely. Our limbs, so dear achieved, our sides full nerved, still warm, too hard to stir. When a body dies, if you know, just gets stiff, doesn't move simply and easily. But I like how he's talking about, indicating that the soldier, or the soldiers are still young. They haven't even fully matured. They haven't even fully grown. That's why he, in the first part, he speaks about the whispering fields unsown. The crops are still probably ripe, but there's nobody to pick the harvest or something.
Could it be possible he is talking about a dead child because of war?
Possible, but no. This is a war, pure war poem. It was written during the war.
He did by war, but not a soldier. He's a child.
So this is the first question here. And then this beautiful, powerful question. Heartbreaking question. Memorable, can't be forgotten. Was it for this the clay grew tall, the the clay, it's us, man or woman, human beings. Because we were created from mud, clay. Is that it? Is that it? Thousands and thousands of years of civilizations, is this to die like this? That's it? That's why the title is Futility. Futile, when something is futile, it's pointless, it's useless, it's worthless. Futility, that's war. Was it, but look at this angry question. Was it for this the clay grew tall? I like the fact that he uses short words, monosyllables here. They're very impactful, they're very punchy in many ways. Every word of this brings us back to reality. That war is grim, war is horrible, horrible. Was it for this the clay grew tall? And again, look at this. Clay is a metaphor of man, us people. Is that it? To be taken like this, untimely again, prematurely? Not even fully grown. Not sure how old this particular real or imaginary soldier is, but usually when we talk about soldiers, we talk about young people in their early 20s, sometimes late teens, 19, 18 even, fighting for their country. Some people would say, yeah, of course, these are the people that defend the country and bring back our rights. Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil? Another personification here. Why if this is why man was created to die like this, horrible death, the sun shouldn't be working to give us life. It shouldn't have started even. God shouldn't have created the world. I think if Robert Brooke was using religion to promote war, this man is even attacking the concept of religion. That the whole creation process is futile. If this is what we should be doing, killing ourselves. Oh, what made fatuous sunbeams toil, to break earth's sleep at all. Not sure what exactly he means here, but the earth's sleep, to break the earth, to wake us, probably referring to the original creation of man, because clay, God used clay to create man, and then this process started. This is a sad, sad poem, but well written, masterfully written. I keep thinking about this every time people talk about war. And again, some people will say it's totally different depending on where you are. If we hate war, it doesn't mean we shouldn't have the right to resist and fight back and defend ourselves. Like in the case of people occupied in Palestine here, in the case with people in Iraq, Afghanistan, Asia, Africa, here and there. Now, briefly, I want to comment on the shape. I think a shape, the fact that the shape does not extend, does not go as far as to reach 10 syllables is connected with the fact that the lives of the soldiers are usually abruptly taken without just anything. They're taken away, they're gone. So he doesn't write a full sonnet in the classical sense. The lines are usually, is this the shortest line? Do we have shorter lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 3 feet rather than 4 feet. I think this is the shortest line. So the shortness of some lines indicate again the shortness of the lives of the soldiers. They're not going to live their life to its fullest. The other thing is, thank you very much, the rhyme scheme. What about the rhyme scheme? We have the sun, okay, once be, unsown, that should be an imperfect rhyme. France, once be, snow, see, now, I'm not sure, is this C, with this being imperfect? Because if you look at it, it's, I rhyme, or it could take a different sound. And you look at the second stanza and it has something similar. Almost all the rhymes are imperfect. Again, helping this idea. War is destructive. Imperfect rhymes. War is destructive. The last thing, I want to ask you where you can find a pun in the first stanza. When we talk about a pun, we talk about a word with two meanings or a word that sounds like another word with a different meaning. Playing on words. Yes? Please? So either you all answer or nobody wants to answer. So what's the first sun? What's the first pun?
Sun.
Sun. Okay. Sun is basically almost always in English literature a pun on sun. S-U-N-S-O-N. And the personification, by the way, helps here. Is he talking about Son, the Son of God, about Jesus? Is he talking about Jesus, the Son of God?
But he is attacking religion at the end.
Because, yeah, he is attacking religion. So the Son is useless. Religion here is useless. This is what he's saying. It's not helping. If religion is what sends us to war, why isn't it bringing us back to life? It's useless, futile. There's another pun there. Another pun. What about that? What about that?
It could be the morning, the first of the day, or the morning crying, or.
Thank you. When somebody dies, there's mourning here. He died, death. And that's why we have the twist here. Until this morning, until this death. And I love the puns here. Because usually puns indicate sometimes the opposite of what they say or something that we don't pay attention to. As if, and this is important, as if the author is, the poet is suggesting that things are not what they seem to be. Wars are not what they are told to us to be.
Maybe he's saying that religion is not what it's.
Possibly. But I don't want to take it too much into religion, but I think there is here a reference to rejecting this romanticizing of war. Act of romanticizing war, saying war is good, let's fight, let's kill and get killed because we're going to go to heaven. There's no English heaven here. It's all futile. So you see that my point about the pun, because you read something in one sense and then you realize that, oh my God, he doesn't mean this. He means something else. And it's like the difference between the reality of war and what people do to war, presenting it in this romantic, poetic way. Let's go, let's die heroes defending our countries. I'm not sure how you, I love the war genre in novels, in movies. I said this before, you have to be careful because especially in Hollywood, usually they make you cry, they make you shed tears for the murderer, for the sniper, for example. Be careful. But it's natural to react in this particular way. If there's a book I want to recommend about post-war literature, there's a book called, what's his name? The author? I'll never remember. The book is called First Blood. And actually, Rambo, you know Rambo 1? Rambo, the movie, was based on this book, First Blood. But sadly, the book is totally different from the movie. I'm not going to spoil it. Just go read it. In the movie, they changed the ending. Again, to suit this narrative of the American savior, soldier. I'll stop here. If you have questions, you can stay behind and we can talk a little bit about the poem or about war in literature.